Morning, all of you. This is our honorable retired Whole Secretary to Government of India, Sri Anil Swarup sir. He is also an author of Ethical Dilemmas of a Civil Servant and for a few other books. And it is one of the most important books for any civil service aspiring candidate. And this is also a prominent reference book that is provided by KPIS for free for all the students of KPIS. And this is our introduction to Sri Anil Swarup sir. And to introduce Anil Swarup sir will take one day time because of his honesty, integrity, and his experience. And the book, if you read about Anil Swarup sir, it is a reflection of his integrity. That means Trikarna Suddhi. Whatever the decisions that he has taken will also be helpful for you for your case studies and ethical orientation and ethical competency and mind makeup for you. Definitely, it will be a good guiding light for you. And me and KP sir and few other faculties will be noting down the points that are dictated by Anil Swarup sir along with you. We are also students of Anil Swarup sir, and we are delighted to invite our honorable retired IAS officer Sri Anil Swarup sir to take this session. And sir is actually suffering from cold, and still I'm really this admiration towards sir is remarkable because he has said a word, his commitment. This is a direct live testimony that irrespective of his cold and suffering, still he has come and he is taking the session, and it is not informed to me before I bring him to this session. So that is what the credibility of Anil Swarup sir. This is one of the live testimonials again. Right.
It would not be a lecture from me. I would like to interact with you, get as much response as possible from you. Okay? So thank you very much for inviting me here, and thank you also for those very kind words. What I'll try and do in the next hour, I will try and tell you on how to prepare yourself for 2025 civil service exam. I'm assuming all of you are appearing in 2025. Is that right? Okay, good. How many of you have appeared before? Just raise your hands. Just one. Okay, so this will be your first exam, right? Okay. So, all of you might have discovered by now that it is indeed a very tough exam. So, tough exam requires tough measures. And during the course of my interaction with you, I'll try and touch upon some of the things that you may want to do in order to qualify. I'm assuming that all of you have decided that this is the future for you, the civil service. There's no doubt in your mind about whether you should become a civil servant. Because if there is that doubt, then rest of it becomes useless. So first, you should be very clear in your mind that this is my way forward. Without that focus, without that commitment, without that attention, qualifying would be very difficult. So that is point number one. Number two is, for getting into the civil service, there are three important aspects. One is acquisition of knowledge. Without knowledge, no one can qualify. You have to have that knowledge. But mind you, that is the easiest thing, acquiring knowledge. That's not very difficult. The second is developing analytical skills. Now, no one talks about this. I'm going to talk about analytical skills. I'm going to talk about how do you develop analytical skills. Because if you look at the papers of the civil service exam, all the questions are very analytical in nature. There are no direct questions. They are not only asking you facts. They are not in fact asking facts. They are asking you to analyze. So, number two is developing analytical skills. And number three, even if you have knowledge, you have analytical skills, but you don't have the expression. Because ultimately, marks get given on what you write in the book or what you speak in the interview. If you don't have communication skills, then all that knowledge and analytical skills are a waste. I will come to all these three subsequently. But before I come to all these three, let me touch upon certain general points, which are extremely important. We don't tend to pursue them. They are extremely, extremely important. While driving down to this place, I asked, which is the medium that you all have taken? And I was informed that all of you have taken English as your medium, right? But English is not a mother tongue. So usually what happens is, I don't know whether it happens with you, for me Hindi was mother tongue. So I used to think in Hindi, then mentally translate in English and then speak out. I don't know whether it happens with you. You think in Telugu because that's your mother tongue, and then you mentally translate it and then speak it out. As a consequence of which, the spontaneity and the fluency with which you should speak or write doesn't come naturally to you. The question is, how do you change that? It has to be changed. You have to start thinking in English. Now that's tough thing. Because naturally you think in Telugu. Is right? I don't know whether you have struggled. I used to struggle finding the right word to express my point of view. You know what you have to say, but you don't have the right word. I used to get stuck. So when I talk about improving communication skills, I'll talk about how to do it. But you must understand this very clearly, that if you don't eat, drink, sleep in English, you'll find it very difficult to write answers. So make a conscious effort to start thinking in English. This is not to say that Telugu is not good or Hindi is not good. They are lovely languages. But you have an objective in mind. A clear objective is to somehow qualify for the civil service exam. And one of the primary objectives there would be to be able to express yourself. So start doing that. That is one. Then, of course, for achieving anything in life or for getting anything, you have to sacrifice something. So you should be prepared for that sacrifice. And let me explain at length to you what is the sacrifice that I am talking about. Many students like you all, like aspirants like you are, keep telling me, sir, there's a shortage of time. I don't have sufficient time. And the primary reason is they've not analyzed the manner in which they spend their time now. Has anybody analyzed how you spend your time now? None. You've not tried to reflect on how are you spending your time at this point in time. And then you will discover which are the time wasters. Can you get me some hot water? I'll keep sipping because I have a terrible throat. Hot water. Just water. Which is the biggest time waster? Phone. Social media comes later. This is the biggest time. So my first suggestion to all of you is keep this with you only for 2 hours during the day. Just give it to somebody else. I know you will feel, what are you saying? The world will come to a halt if I don't see the phone. The problem these days is, the every day is someday. Father's Day, Mother's Day, Friend's Day, this day, that day. And until you wish somebody and they wish you back, you feel hollow. But you'll have to get rid of this. Mark my words, if you don't do that, the chances that you won't qualify. And I'll tell you what you do in those 2 hours. This is a very useful instrument. Or unfortunately, all useful instruments can also be misused, because it provides you access to all sorts of things. So you have to get rid of this. The biggest time waster. Apart from this, my suggestion to you would be, work out your daily schedule as it stands now. What time do you wake up? How many cups of tea or coffee you take before you go to the toilet? How many of you don't drink tea or coffee in the morning? So rest of you do go drink tea and coffee, no? So another 5-10 minutes gone. 10 minutes. Drinking coffee. And this is a habit that you have developed, right? See, I don't drink tea, coffee in the morning. I never did that. It's a habit. You get into that habit, you got into it. And then, it might appear funny, but the time that each individual spends in the toilet in the morning varies from 5 minutes to half an hour. That's time wasted. And a lot depends on what you did overnight, what you ate overnight, what is your habit. You can't afford to waste time. Then, many of you, wherever you live, you would be coming to this institute for coaching. So how much time do you take coming from your house to this place? 4 hours. 4 hours you take to come here. And 4 hours going back. 2 hours coming, 2 hours going. From hostel to this place, how much time does it take? 10 minutes. What do you do in that 10 minutes? See, nothing. What do you do? How much time does it take from you? 20 minutes. What do you do in those 20 minutes? See, look at, I'm giving you where's the time. What about you? You take 7 hours every day. So, you, and what are you doing otherwise? You're studying somewhere? You go to a college? How much time does it take from your residence to the college? 20 minutes. So this is the time which becomes available to you. You have to find every moment. You have to eat, drink and sleep civil service exam. You must question yourself, whatever activity that you are undertaking, will it be helpful to you in qualifying? That's the question you should ask. You're talking to your friend, is it helping you? You are attending the session of Mr. Anil Swarup, is it helping you? If the answer is no, stop it forthwith. This should be kept ticking in your mind that the activity that I am undertaking, is it helpful or not? For a civil service exam. You don't question them. You allow the time to flow, and then the time is not available with you. So you have to question it every moment. Now, what do? I'm just giving you some examples. Rest you will have to work out yourself. So, for example, if it takes 20 minutes from your residence to this place, I don't know whether you walk, you take a bus, you take a bicycle, whichever way you're coming. If you find a friend of yours who's also giving the civil service exam, how about tying it with him? Okay, tomorrow morning we'll go together to the institute or to the college, and on the way we'll discuss this topic. You get into that. My friends, even now, I mean, I'm an old man. I did my service 38 years. Even now, I plan for every moment. I plan my relaxation also. It's not that I relax. I have got into the habit of not wasting any moment. Every moment is consciously spent. So when you look at this phone, I don't know whether you do it. I've seen my granddaughter doing this. TikTok, Instagram, I don't know what sorts of things. Just wasting. In my time, we used to flick the television channels. So you have to look at how do you organize your time. Work out a schedule for each day, that you will wake up at this time. This is what you'll do. Before you sleep, work out the schedule for the next day. That I'm going to do this. Now, there are chances that you may not be able to keep to the schedule in every case. But my friends, you will start getting into the discipline of deciding what do you do during the course of the day, and you'll be able to correct yourself. It's probably the toughest competition in the world. And for that, if you don't discipline yourself, if you don't organize yourself, it'll be a tough time. There are a couple of more suggestions on what do you do in the schedule. One, you must keep 30 to 45 minutes for physical exercises. How many of you do physical exercise? Only few of you. What about others? If you don't do physical exercises, you'll run into problems when you appear in the civil. I tell you my personal example. First year when I qualified for the police service, I remember I had gone to the hall and my habit was to lie down and read. I used to study lying down. And that day I had to sit for 3 hours in the examination hall. My back gave away. So physical exercise is absolutely essential. My suggestion to the faculty here is that faculty should adopt 5 to 10 aspirants as their mentees, and they should mentor them. And this mentorship includes finalizing the schedule for each mentee. That is extremely important. I am again telling you, it is quite possible that you may not be able to keep to that schedule, but have a schedule. That's one way of disciplining yourself. The second part of the schedule is that I didn't study the same subject throughout the day. I used to study, in my time, I had 2 optionals. So I used to study one topic, one optional, one topic of second optional, then general studies, then another general studies. That's how I used to study. It provided variety. That variety is important, otherwise you will get bored. Now that brings me to another point. Some people say, sir, I get very bored while reading. Now you get bored because you don't like what you're reading. I mean, I keep asking people, if you got to meet your girlfriend or a boyfriend, will you feel bored ever? Because you like that, you won't feel bored. You can sit for hours together. You fall in love. You have to fall in love with your studying because there is an objective behind it. So you have to start liking what you're doing. It's important. Don't treat this exam as a drudgery, as a burden on your head. If you do that, then the journey will become difficult. And for that, what do? Smile. Smile on occasions. Smile as much as you can, because when you physically smile, your mind also relaxes. I'm telling you, all psychologists say that. We don't smile sufficiently. I don't think the institute will charge you something additional if you smile more. You must smile, relax, for the simple reason, which I discovered during the course of my career, that you have absolutely no control over results. Results will happen what they will happen. You have absolutely no control over results. You have control over the moments that you have. Now the question is, how do you make it into an enjoyable experience? What would you do to make it into an enjoyable experience? How do you start liking something? One, of course, is the objective of qualifying for the civil service should keep you motivated. The other is, instead of looking at the exams directly, look at small targets, fix small targets every day. I will do this chapter today in your schedule and derive a sense of satisfaction after having done that chapter. Friends, I do that even now. I don't have any reasons to do it, but I've got into the habit of enjoying moments. So I fix targets for myself. In the 38 years of my career, I was never ever late to a meeting because that's a habit. Traffic or no traffic. These days, if you ask somebody, sir, there was a lot of traffic, as if it was something unusual. Traffic will always be there. So you plan. And I used to derive enormous amount of satisfaction in reaching the venue on time. So when my young friend came to invite me, I was waiting for him at the hotel outside. I didn't want to be late here. And I derive pleasure out of it, of being on time. So it's a question of, what do you derive pleasure? I don't know whether you have experienced. I was a student of political science. Anybody here a student of political science? Or political science as a paper? Optional paper? None. Anybody from philosophy? None. So probably you may have heard of Plato and Socrates and Aristotle. So when I used to come to understand their philosophy, it gave me a sense of elation inside. So anyone from maths, physics? What is your subject? Optional subject. PSIR. So that's the question that I was asked. You didn't raise your hand. I asked political science, no? So you've done your bachelor's in political science? So who suggested that you should take political science as your subject? Sorry? Is he a civil servant? What is he? He's an IAS officer. He suggested, he took political science as a paper? Okay, then it's fine. If you like it, it's fine. But normally to science students, I don't suggest taking them political science. Because there's a lot of thought involved in it, and usually people who have science as the background find it difficult to express themselves. So the usual suggestion that I give is, you go for geography, you go for psychology. These are more fact-based papers rather than subjective expression that is required in PSIR. But if your brother did it and he qualified and you like PSIR, that's the bottom line. You should select an optional which you like. It's very important. Don't go with that UPSC marks will be more in this subject. That is not material. UPSC marks keep changing every year. 1 year, one subject will do well, so it's not in your hand. In your hand is what you like. If you like, then as you study, you will feel that sense of fulfillment, and that will help you get better marks. So it's very important for you to enjoy the journey that you are taking. Don't take it as a burden. If you do that, then you will try and postpone things because you're not liking it. If you like to do it. Smile. Good. I'll keep pointing out. There's no harm in having a slight smile on your face. Keep it that way, because you will gradually discover yourself. As you smile, the mental muscles also get relaxed. There is an organic relationship between your lips and your mind. Mind is happy, it will get reflected on your face. But you if you try and look happy, the mind also smiles. There is that organic relationship. So basically what I'm trying to say here is, you have to work out your preparation in a manner that what I'm going to tell you now becomes an effective way of preparing for the civil service exam. Take a look at the questions that have been asked. Take a look at the curriculum. Now, you don't look at the questions so as to answer them, because answering requires many more attributes, which I'll discuss later on, just to get a hang of the nature of questions that are asked. So whenever you're going to study, you'll have them in your background for you to study in the manner that you are able to answer those questions. You are not supposed to know answers to the question at this point in time. So what you do is, in the beginning, you take a look at syllabus just to get an image of this is the backdrop within which you're going to study. So understanding is important, but you don't try and answers. Many aspirants like you ask me, sir, I am unable to write an answer. So my question to them, do you know how to write? You have to learn first to write, then to write an answer. So usual schedule would be as follows. Those that are preparing for 2025, and this the mentors may also note, my suggestion is usually you should be able to complete your entire mains course by January 2025. So you are in the month of June, you have about 7-8 months to complete your entire course. And how do you go about completing it? That's what I'm going to tell now. Now I will touch upon how to improve your knowledge, how to improve your analytical skills, and how to improve your expression, that is communication skills. These are very important aspects. Please listen to this very carefully and try and follow. When I appeared for the civil service exams in 2 years, at that point in time, there was shortage of information. I did my preparations. My father was posted in Aligarh. So I used to go to the Aligarh Muslim University, to the library, and make notes, because facts were not available. Details were not. We didn't have internet. We didn't have anything. You had to go to the library and sit. Now it's the other way around. There's plethora of information. There is so much information that you struggle to find which information you should study. And that is why I had requested Professor that the mentors or the teachers should also be present here, because I am to tell how you should acquire knowledge. For acquiring knowledge, one, you should select a basic book for every topic. It is quite likely that one book may have 10 topics, but for every topic there has to be a book, and identification of that book has to be done by the faculty. You have to clearly tell them, this is your basic book on every general studies topic, on every optional topic. For example, in Indian economy, I don't know whether it is recommended now. During our time, we used to study Rudradrat and KPM Sundaram. It covered almost all the general studies topics. So you have to pick up a book. I'm repeating it, a book, because you will have 10 books on each topic and you would not know what to do and you'll get thoroughly confused. The selection of this book has to be done by the faculty here. So that becomes your basic book. So as you read, you must remember that reading has to be followed by understanding. Don't try and learn anything without understanding. Many aspirants like you come back to me and tell me, I don't know what is your experience, sir, I forget what I read. How do you recall what you're reading? And listen to this very carefully. One is read, second is understand, third is reflect. What is reflection? Reflection is after you've read, after you understood, close the book, close your eyes and revise what you've already read. At that point in time, reflection enables that whatever you have read, it to stick to your mind. So read, understand, reflect, and the fourth point is equally important, discuss. So if you read, understand, reflect and discuss, the chances are that that topic will get stuck to your mind. Chances are. You may still not work, but in most of the cases it will work. Read, understand, reflect, and discuss. So what you do is, as you are going through the topics, try and understand what you're reading. There will be many aspects of which you will not be able to understand. So for that, you either talk to the mentors here, or you, the 2 hours that are available with you, go to Google Uncle. You know what Google Uncle is? Not Chat GPT. Please avoid Chat GPT. But Google, factually, it's not never incorrect. So if you don't understand things, just type it there and you'll get to know. I use Google even now. And when you understand, jot it down on a piece of paper and put that slip where the topic exists in the book. Why? Because when you read the second time, when you revise, you don't have to refer to anything. It's already there, that piece of paper. I used to call them purchi. In North India, we call them purchis. So I used to do that. Select a book, read, and wherever I didn't understand, I used to find it out from somewhere. I had to go to library, note it down and put it there. The second thing that you should do is make points. Don't waste your time on making elaborate notes. I'm repeating. Don't waste your time in writing down, rewriting what is already written. No. Don't waste your time. This basic book is your note. And with additional information relating to understanding where you don't understand, or updating an information. So for example, if you are reading the Rudradatta and KPM Sundaram on Indian economy, then the data would be 2 years old. You may get the latest data on Google and just write it down. The data available in the book is only up to 2021. What happened in 21, 22, 22, 23, that you can add there. So you are only putting in additional data there. And secondly, you are either highlighting the salient points or you write them in a piece of paper and put it there. Why? Because when you revise, you don't have to read all over again. You will just look at those points and you will be able to recall what you have read. If you are unable to recall, then read that part. What this will do is help you complete your course much faster. So as I said, the first understanding, reading and learning should happen by January, and then you will get busied with your preliminary exam. So immediately after preliminary exam, your revision starts. I mean, if you're smart enough, you can do one revision even by January. But if you are unable to do it, don't worry. You should start working on your papers, main papers now. Don't wait for the preliminary exam result to come and start preparing. You will not be able to do it. I've seen many people who say, sir, we'll do it after the preliminary exam. After preliminary exam, you'll only have 3.5 months. That time has to be spent differently. Can I get some hot? I asked, this is pretty cold. I want hot boiling water so that it's no, it's not even lukewarm. भैया गरम करके लाओ. यहाँ को क्या कहते हैं तेलुगु में गरम? हैं? वेड़ी. हाँ. No, boiling hot. Boiling hot. So, knowledge acquisition is the easiest of the three. You can organize it, you can do it. And when you do all this, again, make it as a pleasurable exercise. So there are many ways people try to learn. People used to tell me, sir, I took law as a subject, optional during our time. We had to take 2 optionals. And I had not studied law. Anybody opted for law here? Yeah. Its course is very lengthy. So I had to study and learn 700 case studies. So I rang up a friend of mine and asked him, how do I do it? He said, you'll have to get up early in the morning. And then you have to, that's the best time to learn. But like many of us, I used to work in the night and sleep till late in the morning. How many of you sleep till late in the morning? How many of you study in the night? Oh, you are all good boys and girls. You don't keep awake till late. You study during the day. But I was a bad boy, so I had to change my habit. You may have to change some of your other habits, which we'll come to later on. How do you change your habit? Associate that habit with something, change with something which you like. During my time, I was very fond of cricket. I still am. So I had to change my habit to getting up early in the morning. So Indian team had gone to Australia and they were playing 5 test matches. And Australian test matches start at 5:30 Indian Standard Time. So India played 5 test matches. For 25 days, I woke up at 5:30. I used to listen to commentary. In those days, we didn't have these television. Even now, I get up at 6 o'clock. I got into that habit. It hasn't changed. No matter what time I sleep, I'll get up at between 5:30 and 6. So it's a question of associating that change. I'm very surprised because I address many audiences like you. I don't find anybody raising his hand in terms of waking up late in the morning and studying in the night. I hope I'm correct that all of you study during the day and you sleep during the night. How much time do you sleep? 7 to 8 hours. And what about you? 6 to 7. All during the night, not during the day. You don't sleep at all. Very good. You are all good people. Better chance of qualifying. So, for acquiring knowledge, identifying the right literature is important. There's another aspect to it which was not available during our time. Some outstanding videos have come from each topic. Now, again, it is the job of mentors to identify videos for each topic. You'll have to do that research. Otherwise, each one will have to do on their own and they'll waste their time. So, if the mentors do the research and identify videos for each topic, there are absolutely outstanding videos. I jokingly tell somebody, if I had those videos, I could have topped the IAS. I was 14th. I missed it by 15 marks. And I got 47% in PSIR. That's why I dissuade people to take PSIR. I had got just 15 more marks I would have topped. Because these videos are not available. I saw a video on Plato. In 20 minutes, he explained the entire philosophy of Plato. I have not come across such a video. I saw a video on Archimedes' principle. I used to struggle as a student to understand the concept. A 3-minute video on Archimedes' principle made me understand. I can't forget it. But the problem with videos is that there are too many of them. And you can't be spending time on watching videos to determine which video is the best. This has to be done by the team of professors here. You have to go each topic wise and identify and come to a which video and then advise them as to which video they should. So you have to advise them which book for each topic and which video for each topic. Book and video. So once you read and watch a video, the chances are that it will get stuck to your mind. It has to be very focused and selected way of acquiring knowledge. If it is not as focused as I am telling you, then it will be difficult because you have to study so much that you will always find yourself short of time. But if you organize yourself, if you schedule yourself, if you know which book you have to read, if you know what video you have to see, you don't waste time on that. So it is very, very important to select the right book. It is equally important to select the right video. There's just one point I want to explain before I go on to the next aspect of it. Many aspirants like you ask me, sir, how should I prepare for current affairs? Now, current affairs is a matter of habit. Whether you want to prepare for the civil service exam or not, there should be that inquisitiveness about what is happening around you. That's what current affairs is. Now, we waste a lot of time in reading the entire newspaper, or people advise read 2 newspapers, 3 newspapers. I would say no. Pick up one newspaper. Which newspaper do you read? You don't read newspaper. And you're preparing for the civil service exam. But why should you wait for civil service exam for reading newspaper? Newspaper you should read. Make it into a habit. I got into the habit as a child. And then preparing for current affairs was fun for me. It was not as if I was preparing for civil service. I was prepared for civil service and current affairs. Because I was aware. So don't wait for civil service to start reading newspaper. You have to read newspaper. But there's a lot of waste material in newspaper. So focus on only 3 pages. 1, the editorial page. 2nd, the page on economy. And the 3rd, the page on international relations. Just avoid the rest of it. Don't read anything else. I'm repeating, First, the editorial page. Why editorial page? Because editorial page will help you in a number of ways. The editorial articles written in the newspaper relate to either a current topic or an important issue. So you not only factually become aware of what is happening around you, but you also develop skills that I'm going to talk about later. So the entire editorial page, and mind you, don't say, sir, why will they ask what is happening now in the exam of 2025? It's a very valid question. Why should I prepare now? For current affairs, get into current affairs where you are. Get into the habit of being aware of what is happening around you and in the world. Don't wait, which means that you are preparing for civil service exam to be current. No. Current affairs is different. You must get into current affairs right now. Get into the habit of acquiring knowledge about what's happening around you. So this is one. The editorial page, the Indian economy. In the economy page, don't read about what we call the Satta Bazaar, the markets. No, avoid those items. And international affairs, you'll get to gauge as to what is important. That the rest of it is all nonsense. 4 killed, 6, so and so won in the elections. This happened, that happened. No one is going to ask you. But get into the habit of that. So acquiring knowledge is the a priori requirement for you to do well in the civil service exam. Because if you haven't done that, then the rest of it will not matter, because ultimately you got to write there. The second part is very important and very difficult. Developing analytical skills, which are not taught. We are not even focused. We think that we'll read and we'll be able to write. No. You have to be able to analyze any issue. In fact, you have to come to a situation where if I tell you that this fan should be thrown away from this room, you should be able to write an essay on that. You develop that analytical skills. And that is, what is the current situation? What are the pros? What are the cons? What is the problem if I throw them out? What is the problem if I don't throw them out? Should I throw them out? You raise those questions and answer them. That's how you write an essay. That's how you develop analytical skills. That's how you develop an answer in ethics paper. That skill will have to be developed. No one talks about developing these soft skills for civil service exam. You have time. You have around 18 months. You have to do this regularly. So how do you do it? The newspaper that you read each article, editorial article carefully. Why? Because these editorial articles are written by people of repute and they analyze every issue that they discuss. Now, what happens in developing analytical skills is, it's not like a tablet that I had this morning when I had fever. No, it doesn't work that way. It gradually seeps into your mind. You start understanding how analysis can be done. Frankly speaking, having myself immersed into this analytics, I can speak on any topic if I have some knowledge and put it analytically to you. Because the mind gets wired into looking. The moment an issue comes before me, I start raising questions which are very logical in nature. And in answering those questions, the analysis comes through. This is an art that you will develop, and you can develop only if you read literature that is analytical in nature. Now, I don't want you all to go and waste time and look for analytical literature and read it. The best option available to you is the editorial pages that come to you. They are there every morning to you. So you have to read them very carefully. That is how gradually you develop your analytical skills. It will take time, but if you don't do it regularly, then it will not develop. You have to do it every day. So in your schedule for the day, which I had mentioned to you earlier, earmark certain time for reading editorial articles. Gradually and understand it. The third part is the most critical one. Developing communication skills. My friends, if you don't develop your communication skills, that is the way you express yourself, by some stroke of luck, if you qualify for the civil service exam, I will guarantee, and I can guarantee that you'll fail as a civil servant. I've seen many. I've been a part of the service. I have seen IAS officers fail in the service because they didn't develop communication skills. So not only is it important for qualifying, it is equally important if you qualified. And by some chance, if you don't qualify and you develop communication skills, you'll succeed in life. So communication skills or developing communication skills is extremely important. You can develop communication skills. I did that. When I did my class 12, I had science as my subjects, physics, chemistry, and maths. I didn't have time to develop communication skills. So I started working on a regime, which I'm going to tell you just now, which helped me develop my communication skills. Now I can speak in English or in Hindi fluently for hours. But that came through enormous amount of practice. That's what I'm going to tell you, how to develop communication skills. Listen to this carefully. And again, if you do it daily, I can guarantee that it will help you. It will help you in your life. It will help you in your exam. Many people ignore it and then they come back to me. Many, in the past 6 years, I have been guiding many children like you. Many have written back to me, sir, this is something which has really helped in the exam. This is now helping me in the civil service. Many of them are IAS officers, police officers, foreign service officers. How do you do that? Again, go back to the newspaper. Open the editorial page. Pick up one article. Stand in front of a mirror and read the article slowly but loudly. Stand in front of the mirror and read the article slowly but loudly. Now, there will be many of those who will laugh at you. Okay? They laughed at me. I remember. Kya kar raha hai? He's standing in front of a mirror and speaking to himself. He's gone mad. Today I am laughing. I don't know whether they are laughing or not. So you have to decide. You have to forget the world around you. I should have told you in the beginning. There will be many people who will come and give you variety of advice. I call them Rai Sahabs in UP. They give you advice. They won't. Anyone who's advising you, you must ask what this guy has done. Whether he's a civil servant, whether he appeared in the civil service. Otherwise, don't listen to. Stop listening to everybody, because many people tell me, sir, he's telling me this, he's telling me this. And don't read or watch the interviews of toppers. That's another big disease that we have. Everyone appearing here will watch the interview of topper, what he did, and you would try and ape what he or she is doing. Each one of you is different. He may have done something to top. There could be any reason why he stopped. Stop watching that. Have faith in the institute that you join. Have faith in people who are doing here and follow what they're saying. Otherwise, you'll get confused. Someone will say, wake up in the night, read in the night. Someone will say, wake up in the morning. You decide what is convenient to you. I don't tell anybody to wake up when. People ask me after my talk, they ask me, sir, I read in the night, sir. No, if you're comfortable reading that, please do it. There's nothing wrong. You have to be comfortable inside. So coming back to improving communication skills, stand in front of a mirror and read aloud, slowly but loudly. Each word clearly spoken, read it aloud and record it in your mobile phone. This is the 2 hours that I have given you. Why record it? Because you will discover where you're going wrong. You'll also discover improvement in within 15-20 days. Now, how does it help? It helps you first improve your comprehension. For acquiring knowledge, comprehension is important. So as you read, there will be many phrases, many words which you don't understand. Don't worry at all. Just jot them down later on and find the details from Google Uncle. So first step is read the newspaper editorial, one article aloud. Record it. After you've read it, then put the newspaper down and speak the same thing in your own words. You will find it so difficult, you will curse me. How is it going to help? Mr. Anil Swarup came and told me this. How is it going to help, whether I speak or not? No, you are organizing your thoughts by doing that. Initially, you will face a lot of problem because you've not done it before. What you are seeing of Mr. Anil Swarup is a finished product who went through all this. Who could barely speak 5 sentences in English or Hindi. But through practice and consistent practice, this has to be done every day. Read it and then speak it out. Record that as well. So step 1 is reading it aloud. Step 2 is speaking it aloud. And step 3 is after you've spoken, after you've read, write down what you've read in your own words. Why this? Because if you develop the art of writing whatever comes to your mind, writing answers becomes that much easier. After this session with me today, you should be able to go back and write down, this is what Mr. Anil Swarup said. If you are able to write fluently, you've won half the battle. Then you are ready to write answers. The tragedy is, most of us start attempting to write answers without knowing how to write. So you have to get into the habit of writing whatever comes to your mind. Because knowledge will fill your mind with the material that you're going to use to write. But if you're not used to writing, the knowledge itself will not help. So you have to develop those skills. So read the editorial article aloud, speak it out in your own words, and then write it down. I would tell you one thing. Initially, you will falter, you will curse. But do it. If you improve your communication skills, you can't imagine the benefit that will accrue to you in your life, including your examination. The ease with which you will be able to write. I mean, apart from direct help in essay writing, in ethics paper, where such generalities or general aspects are very, very important, your soft skills are very important. Even writing your regular answers in general studies, it will help you. Because, as I said earlier, I don't know whether you suffer. I suffered a lot in the beginning. I knew what I had to write, but I couldn't write because I was not into the habit of writing. So this is the entire manner in which you can improve your communication skills. Just one more part to it. My suggestion to the mentors here is, constitute all of them into 5 persons WhatsApp group. 5 in each WhatsApp group. And that WhatsApp group will discuss every day at a fixed time a particular topic decided by the group itself. So what will happen typically is that on a particular day, the person who's been selected to speak on that topic will speak for 10 minutes, and then others will contribute to the discussion. And at the end of that day, they will decide what will be the topic for the following day, and then also decide who's going to be the principal speaker, and he does that. How does this help? First, it helps improve your communication skills. You are able to speak fluently, and gradually as you practice, you'll do it. Second, a lot many things that you've learned, when you speak it out, it gets confirmed in your head. I remember I said, what did I say? Read, understand, reflect, and discuss. Discuss past is getting done here. Do it regularly every day. Apart from that, it also impacts the monotony that you otherwise have reading. We didn't have this facility, but now I think it's a very important tool for you to break that monotony and discuss. And finally, if you have not understood any topic clearly, you can put it for discussion and some of your colleagues will tell you. And the best way to learn and remember is to talk about it. If you talk about it, then you'll be able to remember. So broadly speaking, what I've said is, structure your life, structure your schedule, write it down, try and follow it. That is one, where some sacrifices will be involved. Identify such people, institutions, places which are disturbing you in your preparation. Avoid them. Some people ask me, sir, my friends come over. If they come over and they know you are preparing, they're not your friends. And mind you, the elections are already over in this country. You are not going to for a popularity contest. So if someone feels bad, so be it. You have to do everything that helps you become a civil servant. And in that, if someone is disturbing you, politely cut him off. That has to be understood very clearly. This is one. Second, focus on acquiring knowledge in a very structured manner. Don't waste your time in reading things which are not relevant. What is relevant will be told to you by your professors here. Then develop those skills of analysis. Do that regularly. And finally, improve your communication skills. So friends, I will stop here. The idea here is that I will like to have a conversation with you. I'm sure some of you have already prepared something. You want to look at future. So feel free to ask any question. Can I have a chair here? I can sit. Yeah, thank you. इसको रख दीजिए बस यहाँ पे. I'll sit here. Oh, thank you. Yes, any question? How is it possible that there's no question? Either you didn't understand what I said. It's like a bouncer. It's gone overhead. Speak up. I'm sure there would be some questions in your mind coming up. If you all have any questions, you can ask, because I've said so many things to you also. So if you have any questions, you can ask. Which year did you appear, madam? What is your good name? 2020. And okay. You qualified for the prelims? No, you didn't. No, it's fine. I like it. Mhm. Okay. What is the optional that you're taking? And what is your background? IT. You're working somewhere right now? How many of you are working somewhere preparing for the civil service? None, which is very good. So you'll be able to devote the entire time to preparation. Okay. What was your optional then? Hmm. You wanted to ask something? No. Okay. No, that's I'm comfortable. Now I'm looking for questions. So when did you start preparing for the civil service? You, yes. What's your good? You don't look back. You are the person. You have a lovely beard, so I got attracted. This year only. And what is your background? B.Tech in civil engineering. And what is the optional that you're looking at? Sociology. Who? Any reason why you took sociology? Do you like the subject? What are they doing? Your seniors? They are preparing. Again, I don't know why. Unless you have very good communication skills, sociology is a tough subject because there's a lot of subjective things that you have to learn and write. I don't know whether you'll be able to control. You have anthropology is better for a science student as compared to sociology. See, sociology has a lot of philosophy element, which requires a subjective understanding and expression, which not everyone has, especially those from science side don't have that. But if you have that, sociology is a good subject. But of the two, anthropology, I usually recommend anthropology, geography, and psychology in that order. Just think over it. What about you? Yes. What is the optional that you would plan to do? Okay. 2025 are you planning to appear? Okay. What about you? Can you be louder? B.Tech. And which subject optional do you plan to take? Telugu. Okay. You studied Telugu literature or you have interest in that? You have interest. You're not working anywhere. Not working. What about you? Can you be louder? My throat is bad, so this is also blocked. Yeah. Commerce. What subject are you planning to take as an option? No idea. Do that quickly. So these decisions have to be taken now because, as I said, by January you should complete your course. So if you're planning to take a new subject which you haven't studied before, All the more reason that you should be able to decide now. History. You studied history in your school and college. So why did you go for the commerce stream? Just took it. Commerce itself is very interesting, no? So you think you'll be able to schedule yourself. You can work out a schedule as I suggested. Which newspaper do you read? Deccan Herald. Which one do you read? What about Hindu? So again, this is a second case where I find people not reading newspaper. Then current affairs becomes a subject. See, try and understand. You are reading it for the civil service exam. You should be reading newspaper because it is to be read by anybody. So there are few things that don't read it as a subject. Because subject means a burden. Oh, civil service exam. And if you are inquisitive, you want to understand, then it comes naturally to you. I mean, current affairs became so naturally to me, I didn't have to study current affairs actually. In any case, I was very aware of what is happening around me. Stop watching television. I hope do you watch television, anyone of you? There are excellent debates, people shouting at each other. Avoid television. Totally avoid. Okay. What about you? Yes. Yeah. And what do you plan to take as an optional? Geography. That's a good paper. I mean, geography I found very interesting. I never took it as an optional. But actually, let me tell you, for my general studies paper, I used to use maps because I used to mark things, whether it's rivers or whether the invasion, history also through maps. It's very easy for me to remember. But each one of you has to find your own way. I used to use maps to understand things. So that's good. And which newspaper do you read? Times of India. Okay. So will you be able to read the editorial article aloud every day? Do you think it is worth it? Your yes sir is half no. Try. Try means no. Try, I mean, I have sufficient experience to understand try means no. No. Do you read the newspaper right now? First of all, you have to read the newspaper to read the editorial. Because if you're not reading newspaper, you're not looking at the editorial. Okay. What about you? Yes. And what do you plan to take as a optional? So all those that don't have any idea, please. Okay, no problem. No. This institute, of course. Whoever has not yet decided, please identify your group, sit with them, and at least help them select the option. That's very important. My suggestion to all those from science side is, there are two factors that have to be taken into account while deciding optional. One is your interest. That's very important because if you don't like what you're reading, new subject can be criminal. Second, with science background, my suggestion would be anthropology, geography, and psychology in that order. Whichever you like of these. Don't usually go for papers like sociology, philosophy, political science. All these require a lot of subjective expression. And usually people from science side do not have that expression to do that. Though, of course, PSIR gives you a great advantage in general studies, actually. They give you a great advantage in essay writing. They help you. So, PSIR is good, but the syllabus is huge. Huge. What about you? Yes. Yeah. Sorry? Science background. And, sorry? Anthropology. Anthropology is fine. And do you read newspaper? Which one? Huh? Hindu. What was the editorial today? Okay. You can't say that in the examination. Sir, today I didn't read it. In interview, sir, I didn't read it today. Okay, tell me what happened yesterday. You are stuck. You are gone. So reading means reading. When I say those 3 pages, you have to read them thoroughly. You don't have to flip through. Editorial page has to be read thoroughly, understood. It is not merely for directly helping you in the exam. It will help you start thinking. You know, many aspirants don't understand this aspect of developing that thought process. They want to read a book. Oh, Indian economy, this book. Okay, I read the chapter. That is okay. But if you don't have that thought process here, if your mind is not wired to understand, appreciate, reflect, analyze, then you will not be able to do that. Your wiring here has to change. And that comes through reading such articles. Yes, madam. Just behind you. Yes. I have become hard of hearing. Wait, let me take this off. B pharmacy. And what do you plan to take? Political science. So I see some trend here. What you should do is when you constitute these WhatsApp groups, try and keep people who have the similar optional together. It's very important. Because then they will be able to share a lot of, their preparation becomes that much easier. So I see one, you are opting for PSIR, she's also opting for PSIR. So take those details from them. That's how you should constitute WhatsApp group. Do you discuss with anybody while preparing or no? You'll have to get into an engagement with a person like him where you can discuss a topic every day on WhatsApp, 3-4 people. What about you? In agriculture. And which subject optional do you plan to take? Acha, you come. Okay, no problem. Sorry. What about you? So, if you are looking down, you can rest assured that I am going to come to you. Yes. And what do you plan to take as an optional? It's political science, international relations. So, you have 3 of them now. So, what will happen is, there will be some sort of a similarity of interest. Discussions will be more relevant. Otherwise, if you have disparate book, then discussion doesn't happen. And gradually, they will open up. Right now, they are not opening up. I have to probe them. This is the first such session where I don't find people asking me questions. Otherwise, in all such sessions, I am besieged with questions. So they will open up gradually. Please. What aspirant needs to pass or fail? See, it is very difficult to guarantee a success. No one knows what is going to be success. So first thing that the aspirant should do is to forget about whether he succeeds or fails. Because if you're obsessed, if you're obsessed with success and failure, you will not be able to concentrate on your studies. So what you have to do is to study what you're doing and succeed in understanding that subject, that topic. If you do that, then each step you'll gain more and more confidence. And the chances are that you'll succeed. But no one can, by discussing success, you will never succeed. But what you have to try and succeed in, suppose you are listening to Mr. Anil Swarup, the success here would be that you've understood what I told you. The second part of success would be you do what I tell you to do. That's success. But if you say that, please give me a formula which I can have it and tomorrow morning successes will be there, no, it won't work that way. The basic aspects of success are discipline, which I mentioned earlier. You have to discipline yourself. The second is acquisition of knowledge, getting the right book. Third is developing analytical skills. And fourth is developing communication skills. You do that, the chances are that you'll succeed. Now, directly, no one can guarantee that this is the success formula, but the chances are that you will succeed. That is how you have to look at it. Yeah. You will get, once you get into the habit of being consistent, preparing for the exams for 1.5 years, you'll become consistent in your life. I'm telling you. It's a habit. No one is born consistent. A child is neither consistent nor inconsistent. It's a question of what habit do you develop. If you are organized in your life, how you are organized? If you're organized, you'll organize in the civil service exam also. But if you practice being organized, then thereafter also you'll be organized. So it's a question of, like I kept, when I said you should do it every day, the reason is that brings in a habit. You inculcate that habit, then becomes your second nature. So if I, as I said, I have never been too late in any meeting 38 years because that's a habit with me. So you have to develop such habits. That's something which you have developed. For developing habit, initially there is a problem. But once you start enjoying the change, then it becomes a second nature. Then you do it. You like it. You take pride in it. You take pride in reaching the office on time. You take pride in starting your job at time. So once you start taking pride in what you're doing, it becomes a second nature. It becomes easy. But to get into that stage, initially there is a bit of a, because there are distractions. You have to get over those distractions and do it. It all depends on your comprehension. So, some people can read one para and understand it. Some people require 3 times reading. So it all depends on individual. But obviously, nothing less than 8 to 10 hours a day. This much is minimum required because in the competition. But beyond it, it all depends on individuals. How? And that is why it is important to develop those comprehension skills. Like in an exam also, when there is an ethics paper case study, someone will read it and understand it in one reading. The other will keep reading it, try and understanding it. So if you develop your comprehension skills in the manner that I have suggested, you will be able to do the same thing much quicker. It's very fungible. So if you don't have comprehension skills, then you will take much more time to do it. Second, if you are organized, the chances are that assimilation will happen faster. If you don't organize, then assimilation becomes difficult. So this is all a matter of habit. You all have to get into the habit of being, so to say, obsessed with the civil service exam. So as you move out of this room, many of you will say, what a relief, now come out of the room. Others will say, oh, he was good, and then forget about it. Third one will say, he was good, he said the right things, and pursue what I have told them. So each one on his own. Now, how can I suggest you should do this? It depends on you. I will tell you what I have to tell you. I mean, this is something which I tell all the aspirants to read the editorial article aloud. So, like he responded, I will try. The other chap says, no, I will do it, sir. There's no question. So, it's a question of, that comes from you. If you perceive a benefit out of what I'm telling you, you will do it. It may be difficult to begin with. But if you start perceiving the benefit while doing it, then you won't leave it. You'll do it regularly. You will see an improvement in yourself. You say, this is a great way of going about it. Imagine the amount of confidence you have in yourself. One of the reasons why we lack confidence is our inability to express what I have in mind. Oh, I may commit a mistake. Should I speak? Should I not speak? That confidence comes when you have better expression. So I don't know whether I told you. When I did my class 12, I started improving my diction and presentation. So I became a debater for the university. And I used to go all over the country debate. So there is an institution called IIT Kanpur. Have you heard of it? IIT Kanpur. So they have this annual festival. So I was representing my university for that debating competition. One day before the debating competition, there was this music competition. So I thought I can sing as well. Without practice, I gave my name. So my name was announced. 1,000 children sitting there. And when my name was announced, everyone clapped and came on stage and started singing. I was booed out within 15 seconds. Booed out. Because I picked up the wrong note. So I was totally shattered. I said, I will not participate in the debate tomorrow. I was going to face the same crowd. So one of my seniors told me that you are committing 2 mistakes. One, you thought you were a bloody Tansen and without practice you went there. The other mistake is that you practiced for the second event and you are not going there. So after a long chat, I decided to go. Next day I went and spoke. The moment my name was announced, everyone started shouting, Gayak aa gaya, singer is there. So I spoke. I had overcome my fears. I won the first prize in the national debating competition. The lesson was very clear. All of us commit mistakes. Success is never guaranteed. But if you enjoy what you're doing, if you practice what you got to do, if you put in hours for then the chances are that you'll succeed. You still don't know whether you'll succeed. So my suggestion to all of you is, I mean, I've spoken a lot about what you should do. Whether you would do or not, whether you'll try, whether you'll do, it's your choice. You have to decide. You spending a lot of money, time and effort for the civil service exam, then obviously you have to sacrifice a few things. Yes. I would suggest the Hindu. You don't have to look at the bias part. You have to look at the analysis part. What arguments have they used to bring home a point of view that they have? You may disagree. But the beauty of such articles is that they try and use facts and arguments to prove their point. That's what analysis is all about. Then each one may have a different point of view. But in order to establish a point of view, you have to understand the facts. You have to analyze them. You have to present them in a manner that you convince the other person into believing what you believe. He may or may not be. But the approach to convincing others, you learn that approach. How do I build my argument? That's what analysis is all about. How do you build your argument? I think then we can conclude if there are no other questions. Huh? Yes, yes. No, don't think. Don't think too much. And whoever told you, avoid him for future. Don't think like a student who's aspiring to become a civil servant. When you qualify, I'll tell you how to think like a civil servant. Right now, forget about. People tell me, sir, what have we to do as district magistrate, sir, if there's a right? I said, I'll tell you when you come to the academy. Don't worry about this. Be absolutely focused on the exam. Whoever told you think like an officer, no. For heaven's sake, think like a student. Officer thinks that he knows everything. So how will you learn? Most of the officers think they have arrived, they have qualified UPSC, so they know everything. You can't afford to do that, no? You have to be a learner. You have to learn. You have to be open mind. Most of the officers, they close their mind the moment they get into the IAS. So don't do that. Think like a student. Be always prepared to learn, wherever. That's why I suggested to some of you who are not reading newspaper to read newspaper. It's a quest to learn. It's a habit of learning. It's not civil service exam. If you develop that inquisitive habit of learning, of inquiry, the road to civil service becomes easier. But if you don't do that, then it becomes a burden. Then it becomes a subject. And then subject is a burden. So don't think like an officer at this point in time. You don't even know how the officer thinks. So don't think like him. In ethics paper, you have to think like an officer, that if you were an officer, how would you sort it out? That's a different matter. But don't think like an officer otherwise. Because in ethics, they will ask you, suppose if you're a DM and this position comes to you, then you have to think like a DM. But generally speaking, don't think like a DM. The only thing that you have to keep in mind, develop a positive attitude. So when a question comes where opinions are asked, never get into that negativity. Your answers should conclude. Maybe if I discuss ethics paper sometimes with you all, I'll tell you how to structure an answer. It's too early for me to talk about structuring an answer, because for structuring answer, you have to first acquire knowledge, then you have to have the skill of writing. Then the third stage is, how do I structure an answer? But without knowledge and without ability to write, structuring answers is meaningless. You won't understand that. Yes. Yes. So let's develop this argument. Let's discuss this. This fan has to be thrown out. Okay? And you have to build an argument. You will start by saying, let us try and understand why this fan is here in the first place. Is it serving the purpose for being here? You answer these questions, the essay is made. So why is it there in the first place? Is it serving the purpose? What are the negative aspects of this fan being here? What is my objective of throwing it out? Will that objective be served by throwing it out? You answer these 5 questions, you can write 500 words. Essay is made. Whenever an issue comes to you, just jot down questions and logical questions one after the other. You can answer, you can write any essay, but that comes through practice. Okay, let's say that Hyderabad city should be shut down. Take any absurd, you come up with any question. Then start asking questions. Is there a need for shutting down a novel? There has to be an objective. If there's no objective, is it worthwhile shutting it down? What is the purpose or what are the consequences of shutting down Hyderabad city? Is it worth suffering those consequences just because some madman thinks that it has to be closed down? So that's how you should question everything. I mean, these are absolutely absurd things. But if you can frame questions for absurd things, for normal things. So, for example, more normal thing, India's economic growth is something for which we should be proud of. Now, this is a very solid question. There you start structuring. What is the existing growth? Is it good enough? Is it good to be proud of? What are the shortcomings? How can we take it forward? So, these are the questions. You have to frame your mind in a manner that you are able to come up with relevant questions. The moment you do that, you will be able to answer any question. Any question. And as you are, like I had suggested to you, all of you should do physical exercises 30-45 minutes. Now that's a physical exercise. What do you do mentally at that point in time? Revise. Or pick up a topic and start questioning, framing questions. So your mind gets into the habit of framing questions. But that won't happen only with a session with me. It has to be done not by trying, by doing it. So as you are walking, oh, this bus, should the buses be there here? No, start framing questions. Should we have buses as public transport? Are they serving any purpose? Should we have metro in Hyderabad? Start questions, one after the other. Initially, you will get confused, but gradually start framing them logically. That's what analysis is all about, no? You frame logical questions, answer them, analysis is done. So I write 3 articles every week. It doesn't take me much time. The topic comes, I start writing. So you get into the habit of it. You were asking somebody from, yeah. How, sorry? So the first step to planning is you write down what do you do right now. And my suggestion to mentors here will be that you should sit with each student and work out schedule in consultation with that person. It takes time, but it's worth it. So for example, you will write down, I wake up at this time, go to the toilet, have breakfast, this is what I study, this is what I travel, this much I watch this idiot box, so much time in television. Be fair to yourself, write it down. And then you'll discover this time I can avoid. And then structure something there. That's how it is. Start with what you're doing now. I'll tell you, I used to define every moment of my preparation in writing. Before I used to sleep, I used to work out, this is what I'll do on the next day. It will take 10-15 minutes every day. Later on, it will take you only 5 minutes because you got used to it. Okay, I was doing this, I will change this, I'll change this, I'll change this. That's how you have to work out. Okay, since there are no other questions, can we conclude? Huh? No, I'm okay. I mean, if they have any questions, I can, if you all have any questions or your faculty has any questions. But if you have any questions, you are okay with constituting those WhatsApp group. You're okay with identifying books for preparation. You're okay with identifying the videos for them. You're okay with mentoring 5 to 10 students, then you become a mentor. So all your problems you tell him, then it's his job to find out. Don't waste your time on finding solutions to the problems. Let the mentor do it. It becomes much easier. Life becomes easier. You do what you can do best Others should do what they can do best.